What's going on, everyone? I'm sure if you're watching this video, this is probably your first time here. If you are new here, name is David. I usually do reaction videos to all sorts of political content. It really could be anything. In these videos, the goal usually is to, spread my opinion, say my opinion, and speak my truth, and listen to what other people think their truth is, whatever that even means. In any case, today we'll be reacting to, you read the title, Destiny, and we're just gonna see if wokeness has really gone too far. You know? Let's get to it. Now, I'm just gonna explain the context to this issue. Essentially, he's taking the stance of, okay, wokeness has gone too far. And this guy has just watched him do an interview with a lady who disagreed, and Destiny's already explained his opinion to him, which I would probably just say he's taking the definition of wokeness as the media extremity of wokeness, and everyone knows that that's not exactly the same thing as the traditional definition of wokeness. However, the consequences of both of them, well, are still something you need to take account of. So he's just gonna try and debate him with that point, and let's see what my boy has got to say.
X.
No slave names here.
No slave names here. Okay, gotcha.
So,
Yeah, what do you want to start? You want me to start or you want to start?
I mean, I guess I'm confused as to why you're taking the terminally online definition of wokeness so much. It's like the way you're presenting wokeness, I feel comes from like all these dudes who get their political information from fucking memes. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's what wokeness is.
Sure.
That being said, now I think there's nothing wrong, inherently wrong with canceling people for saying stupid ass shit. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like, if someone says, if Yeezy's out there saying, I hate Jewish people, and we're canceling him, is that being too woke?
The yay stuff is, is
Yeah, like the way this guy who's arguing with Destiny puts it, he is in the sense villainizing Kanye West. And this is what you do when you try to win arguments. You try to make someone look in a negative light to basically make them as evil as possible, so you seem like a righteous character. The only problem with what this guy is saying is that's not true. He's basically saying he hates Jewish people. In fact, I'm going to read you the tweets Kanye had about Jewish people just to verify. So as you can see right here, Kanye said, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going to DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Okay, the funny thing is that I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jewish. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, man. I find it quite hilarious how people think that a tweet like that is actually that bad. All he said, this is literally basically an angry guy saying, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Like, the amount of things that have been way worse than that I've seen on the internet, this shouldn't be getting that much attention. But of course, it's Kanye West. Of course, everyone cares about it. And he even like defends himself because he's predicting the outlash from the woke left. Hey, he still got banned from Instagram. That is not good. Yeesh.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, in
Well,
my mind, that's where it goes, is all these people want to say hateful stuff.
Sure.
Right? They
So
want to say,
let's-
like, I don't like black people. I don't like women. And then they kind of, you like to use the term dog whistling, right? But they say it a little more subtly. And
Oh,
then they get canceled and they...
So you think that somebody saying that he's going to DEFCON 3, a particular group, is the equivalent of saying that he doesn't like, or doesn't like the entire group of people in real life, guys? Okay, I have to actually bring up this point because in real life, guys, in real life, okay, there are lots of times where you say, "Oh, I hate this person, I hate that person, I hate when people do this." And sometimes it's easier to generalize something than it is to directly say, "I don't like this particular action." And some people take it out of context, but that's just a part of life. Um, hey, you can be the thought police, and you could critique everything I've said in my entire life. If you did that to every single person, you will quickly find that, Matt, we all um deserve to be cancelled. So there's that.
Cry. Oh no, I'm not. My free speech is being suppressed. It's like, no, you're just being an asshole. Like,
so taking apart some of the things you said earlier. So the first thing you said, you mentioned like the terminally online thing for people that get political information from memes. Do you know anything about my background or what I do or anything?
a little bit. Like I watch you occasionally.
Okay, that's fine.
Recently,
I'm just curious, just so I know.
yeah.
So, like 5 or 6 years ago, I used to debate against a lot of conservatives, alt-righters, centrist people that were really like right people masquerading as centrists, right?
For sure.
And oftentimes the argument that I would use is like, you are attacking and, vilifying and going crazy about these opinions online that like nobody really believes in. You've got like YouTube videos with like 20 million views attacking a tweet with like 4 likes. There's like no reason to do this. It seems really silly. But it seems like a couple things have happened. Over time, the online stuff has gotten a lot more popular, and also the online stuff is like permeating into real life more. So for instance, you made that reference earlier to like, it feels like you're...
I don't think people really understand this. That point is very, very powerful right there by Destiny. Even as a student, I see that there's the cancel culture mob still exists in school systems because we've spent so much time online to the point where eventually some of the rules online are going to leak over to our reality of real life. Like eventually online and real life will become like this, and that's as if you let it get there. So some rules of online may be like, oh, you can say harsher things because you're anonymous. But in real life, if you were to say the same thing to that person, it would be more difficult, and it would have been impossible like 10 years ago to say the same thing. But now it's like you could get away with saying it in real life. You could be like a real life Karen, and that is not a good thing.
Arguing as people to get all their news from memes, and I would agree that I am, but it feels like I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. When I grew up, my parents constantly told me don't get information from the internet, don't trust anything you read on the internet. In school, we weren't allowed to use the internet as a resource, and they told us that constantly. And now my parents get their news exclusively from Facebook memes, such that they don't even watch Fox News anymore. And I want to say the recent polling in that was like 64% of Americans get their news from Facebook. So insofar as we're addressing people that get their news from memes, is it sad? Yeah, but I think it's actually become the majority of Americans that get their news from memes or comedy-like material, And I think there's even a precedent for that. Like, how many young Americans, I guess, of my age, I'm still young, how many people like my age would have said, like, oh, yeah, I got my news back in the day from The Daily Show, right? Which is like a comedy show.
Yeah, for
really,
sure.
Online news, yeah. So I feel like a lot more of that is kind of happening, where people are online, they're getting their information from online, they're getting their news from online, and then they're amplifying stuff online. That's the first part. So that's why I'm kind of addressing a lot of the stuff that goes on in that realm, because I see a lot of it bleeding over in the real world. The second part is when you talk about like who should be canceled for saying, certain things. If you want to go online and you want to say things like, I hate black people and stuff, I think that's totally fair to like for people to blow back against you. Like you should. The issue that I have is it starts to get a lot more subtle. Like you brought up the dog whistling thing. I don't know if we talk about dog whistling as much, but I remember there was a period in time where it was like an online scavenger hunt to try to find anybody that made the OK symbol. And if you found them ever doing it anywhere, it meant they were like a closet secret Nazi, and people were trying to find out like any piece of information about them to like shut them down from their jobs, get them kicked out of whatever. And a lot of people were just doing it because of like either dumb meme shit or they just like naturally did it. There was I think a staffer in Congress that people were trying to say was like giving secret Nazi salutes like on camera, which she was probably just like making a symbol or whatever. So yeah, those are kind of like, so 2 areas. So one is that the online stuff has gotten a lot more into the real life. And 2 is that, the canceling.
Note that, y'all. Note that, y'all. He does agree. So if he agrees that the online stuff has got into real life a bit, I actually think they agree on a lot more things that they think they agree, because then fundamentally they agree. And it just comes down to the fine details, the interpretation of things. Let's see where this debate goes to, though.
Like, people can try to cancel like Kanye West over saying some crazy shit, which I agree with. But like, for normal citizens, if somebody's starting to say some weird stuff, I think we should be able to engage them in conversation, try to pull them back from the brink, rather than cutting them off as soon as they're kind of like leaving the mainstream, I guess, like, progressive opinion.
I guess where I'm confused is like, what do you mean by canceling someone and take, like, if anyone out here wants to say some crazy racist stuff, I'm not going to be like, hey, you're not allowed to be around me, I'm gonna fucking kill you. If they're open to engaging in a conversation. The issue is, a lot of these people who say this stuff, they're not interested in conversations, they're not interested in engaging. A lot of it is them trying to sway people to their opinion as subtly as possible, that I don't like minorities, I don't like women, I don't like, you know, the LGBTQ plus community. And I don't see a problem with telling those people, yo, shut the fuck up. Like, because you don't have any interest in actually engaging in a debate. What you're interested in is getting those, like, moderate people that claim they're moderate, who have their minds easily manipulated by contrarian opinions, things like that. And they just want to bring those people further and further to their side. And I don't see a problem with telling those people, yo, get out of my space. Like, there's no reason to let you say this vitriolic bullshit, because you don't actually, some of them don't even believe that shit. Like, they're just saying it because they want more power or means or access. Like, they see it as these, I'm kind of wavering a bit, but they see it as like a cultural lightning rod,
Sure.
right? That is just going to
Yeah, and I agree with you. There
embolden
are
their base.
some of the people that are having the conversations are so ridiculous, and they seem like impervious to like fact or argument. I do agree with that to some extent, that these people do exist. The people that are willing to do the debates and the people that are kind of at the top of these are definitely like that. But I think a lot of their followers like genuinely do believe this stuff. Like, they're not just grifting, they're not just saying whatever. They genuinely do get like taken in by it, and they start to believe it. And then moderates or people in the center will start to get taken in by it. And the thing that is scary to me is, as somebody that I try to engage anybody that I can with differing political opinions, is when somebody, a moderate, goes into a space and they see that on one side somebody's saying like, you, we don't talk about these opinions, we don't do that, they're hateful, and the other side is saying, well, we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I think that the moderate looks at the person over there and they're like, well, this guy seems way more f***ing reasonable. These people are denying the ability to even have the conversation. These people are willing to talk about anything, and it creates this kind of like weird pipeline to where people are being funneled over into these like kind of conservative spaces, because the conservatives seem more willing to have the conversations than the progressives are.
See,
I think that
And that is very interesting. The conservatives seem to have more. Okay, it really just depends on your perspective. If you look at it holistically, I'm sure from the liberal side of things, they seem to have more conversation than the conservatives do. Depending, because the topics that they talk about are in opposition to that ideology. So Destiny himself may actually, he hangs around a lot of conservatives, right, and other people with other different political ideologies. So he may, like in his personal life, conservative people may actually have that. I would like to see what, this young man besides Destiny says about this. I think he's gonna firmly disagree here.
that largely explains the success of people like Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate, because you've got people that are willing to address like a group of like young white men that the left-leaning media has kind of like demonized over and over again, and has made it socially acceptable to attack.
So are you saying it's not socially acceptable to attack people who say things like, I hate women, or I hate...
Well, the thing is,
like,
I don't think people usually say like, I hate women. They'll say things like, I think women are different than men and shouldn't have the same jobs. They'll say stuff like that.
I agree with that, but they say those things with the purpose of kind of subliminally painting those messages of, hey, yeah, men and women are different because men are better than women, or blacks and whites are different because white people are better than black people.
But do you think there could be some people that say that, where it doesn't come from a place of hatred, it just comes from a place of observation? Like somebody might say, well, men and women are
I think it comes from a place of ignorance, not hatred or observation. I think it comes from ignorance. And
you argue, 'cause, like, men and women are different, right? Or do you?
Yeah, for sure, for
so, like,
sure.
Somebody
for sure.
could make that observation, and then they might see a conservative that says men and women are different, therefore men are better than women. But they'll see a progressive say, well, men and women aren't different at all. Well, aren't they more likely to listen to the conservative?
How many progressives do you see saying men and women aren't different at all? Like,
well, I mean, I think arguably over like it gets a little bit more into the weeds, but like on the trans stuff, for instance, there's a lot of arguments that like, well, if you're on HRT for 1 year, you're essentially the same as whatever gender you've, started to take HRT or TRT.
I mean, but if we're
No.
talking about the trans population, that's like less than 1% of the population, right?
Yeah, but for a while it dominated like 85% of the meteor cycle, right?
And why do you think that is?
I think there's two reasons. I think one is because conservatives are looking for lightning rod issues that they can do a culture over. But two, it's because progressives get baited into defending really stupid positions and won't just like give ground in areas where they probably should.
I think there is a lot of anger within the progressive movement, and I think the issue is it's justifiable anger. Like, for decades, we've had so many conservative voices saying these hateful things, and the second that progressives start pushing back, it's like, oh my God, you're unreasonable. How dare you say these things? Look, you're trying to cancel me. And it's like, no, we're not trying to cancel you. We're just pissed. Like, how are we supposed to just sit there and take it when people are saying, hey, every single brown person is illegal. Hey, every single black person's a criminal. Hey, every single trans person is a groomer. Like, nah.
This might be like an idealist position I have, but like I guess the hope would be that we could be better than the opposition. That like,
See, no, that's where I disagree. The hope should be to find peace, and at least to live in a world where you could have a good common narrative, and just like have a good common, discourse is a better word, rather than just like live in a world where people are extremely divided and aren't even willing to talk to each other anymore. And then again, Jesus did come to this world to divide, if you think about it. So there's an individualistic goal and there's a grandiose goal, I would say. I'm not going to talk about those two things. Let's just keep continuing the video.
if you have people that are incredibly hateful in the rhetoric, the counter to that isn't to be like incredibly hateful back, but the idea is that like, okay, well, we're going to engage with the ideas and we're going to do our thing instead of like pushing like so hardcore on the other side that you have things like people justifying like the BLM riots, where they'll say stuff like, well, people are rioting and it's understandable because of all the anger that they suffered. It's like, okay, well, now you've got all these communities that now are even more incensed against BLM. Like we saw support for BLM massively drop off once the rioting started, and it's like, well, fuck, well, what do we actually accomplish at the end of the day? Like they were angry, they did dumb shit, the conservatives, which they have, I agree with you, but now we got angry and then we did dumb shit, and now like everybody's back at ground zero. And I'll give you the last word on that for the response. Go for it.
So, are you saying? I know you said I get the last
I
word.
can respond to some question if you want, but yeah, go.
I do think there is a time and a place to respond with anger towards hate. I do think there is a time and a place to look at people who say terrible stuff and tell them, hey, shut up. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm gonna pull the Hitler card, right? Like if someone day one.
Here's the thing. I know he's gonna say that Hitler card. Yeah. Cool. I want to bring up a point though. To his point before he even makes his point, because I already know his point's gonna be, if someone's acting foolish, the question is, do you think it is good to tell them they're acting foolish, or to leave them be and let them come to you asking you, I know I'm acting foolish, help me out? It's really a question of, do you want to change the life of someone else forcefully, intentionally, or do you want that person to realize their mistakes for themselves and come to you? And which one is more effective? Like, if you ever tried convincing your siblings to change their habits, you would know it doesn't work by you just telling them. Most of the time, how that works is they come to you, they ask for your help, and that is something we are not listening to. Because that's the issue of life in reality. If someone's saying something that's hurt to have a discussion with you if you come off as aggressive. Let's just hear his point about the Hitler situation. Hey,
A1 from day one, Hitler's out there saying, I hate Jews, and someone shoots Hitler the second he says that shit. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, if, like, I don't see how that is a terrible thing. If someone's out there and saying, trans people should be genocided, and you shoot that person and you take that person off the face of the earth, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing.
Okay, well, I obviously.
well, that's something I definitely disagree with. To kill someone is a bad thing. Like, it's literally an opinion. It's a thought. It's like you listen to what you're saying is everyone is like, who I was with you for most of it, but nah, that ain't it. Because you are assuming you know what will happen to that person's life after they say it, and you know that they're going to become more tyrannical and start killing trans people or something. Because as a Christian, you shouldn't kill. Thou shalt not murder. That's one of the commandments, man. So, hey, if everyone started murdering everyone else for disagreeing with their opinions and having different opinions, all the outsiders, well, there'd be no life, bro. And trans people, by definition, are outsiders. So if you think about it, they all have different opinions than most of the common populace. So are you saying that someone from the common populace points it out and says, no, I think they should be killed. They're outsiders. That we should then kill the regular archetype? Are you saying that? But then what happens if you kill the regular archetype? War. Come on, Chief. It's not alright. Hey, you're gonna leave anyway, man. This was a pretty good debate. I'm gonna just tell you that. Let's just watch him finish his stuff.
I completely disagree, but thanks for the chat. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming up and disagreeing. I appreciate it.
I'm Atanu.
All right, perfect. All right, y'all. That was the interview with that young man. Listen, I really am appreciative for that man coming up and speaking his opinion. At least he wasn't like extremely emotional or emotionally attached to it. He seemed to be fortified with his thought patterns. However, the last point was a bit out of place. In any case, thank you all for watching, and go subscribe to Destiny's channel, please. Like, go subscribe to Destiny's channel, like, please do. In fact, go support him, man. I'm just a guy reacting to his stuff. Without him, I wouldn't even be able to make content on YouTube. So thanks, Destiny. Thank you, Jesus. Go do what you need to do in life. Work out if you haven't. Train if you haven't. Eat well. Go talk to your dad or mom or family, man. Do what you need to do. And stay strong.